My name is Manju Singh. I'm working as an assistant professor in HR group of institutions, Ghaziabad, in pharmacy department. Today, I'm going to teach industrial pharmacy second with subject code 702T. My today's topic is Unit 3rd, Data Presentation for FDA Submission. So, let's start. First of all, introduction. FDA, as you all know what is FDA. FDA is Food and Drug Administration. It is a US based regulatory agency. Here, FDA accepts electronic submissions. First of all, we should know what is electronic submission. So, before knowing electronic submission, I want to tell you the history about electronic submission. So, before electronic submission, there was offline submission of data, and data of what? Data of preclinical studies and data of clinical trials are represented to the regulatory authorities of countries and to the FDA for approval in IND investigations, drug application or NDA new drug applications. So, the data of preclinical plus clinical studies are represented or submitted to the FDA offline, and that information is known as CTD. The data is represented to the FDA for approval of drug is known as common technical document. It means the document which contains some technical documents, and the data contains preclinical, plus clinical data. As you know, preclinical data is the testing on animals. The data after testing on animals are represented in tabular or graphical or static forms is collected. Then the data of clinical and clinical data is the clinical trials conducted on human for knowing the therapeutic activity or pharmacological action of any drug. So, the data of both these two studies, preclinical plus clinical studies, are represented to the FDA or regulatory authorities to get the drug approved and to make the drug enter into the market for making profit. So, earlier there was offline. Earlier there was only offline method of submission of data to the FDA known as CTD or common technical document. After some times or after a long time, the offline submission is converted into the electronic submission. It means the offline submission is converted into online submission. So, we, in spite of submitting the data offline or buying going themselves to the FDA office, they simply submit the data on the website of regulatory agency. They have, every regulatory agency has their portal which have a site for submission of the data related to the approval of any drugs. So, the online submission of data is known as the electronic submission. So, now I have told you about what is electronic submission. So, next is the elements. The electronic submission regulatory process is divided into 4 steps. Number 1 is early planning and management of the project. Second is document preparation. Third is dossier publishing, and fourth is dossier submission. First of all, we should know what is a dossier. So, what is the dossier? So, the representation of preclinical plus clinical data into a the representation of preclinical plus clinical data, and this whole data known as common technical document. The data is known as the dossier information. This data is known as dossier. So, the first point is early planning and management of the project. So, during the submission, what should we do? Any sponsor means the owner or the investigator, means the person who is manufacturing the product or who is investigating on the product is known as a sponsor. So, before representing the data of preclinical, we should use the term CTD, the common technical document. When he submit the common technical document and when he submit electronic data, this is known as ECTD. So, we will say electronic common technical data. So, for that he will plan and management of the project. It means he will accurately plan the data for representation into the regulatory authority. It means he will well plan, or well planned means the data of preclinical studies plus clinical studies should be precise and should be truth. Only after that, and after step by step planning means proper preparation of data, only after that he make representation of both these data and make an electronic common technical documents. Next is document preparation. Same thing, document preparation is documents of preclinical different. He will prepare these two documents differently, preclinical documents different, clinical documents different, and attach both these documents in the common technical documents. And one thing important, when he will prepare the document, he will prepare the document very precisely. There should be not any fault. If there will be if there is any fault in any data, whether it's of preclinical or clinical, the FDA or any regulatory agency will not approve it. Next is dossier publishing. It means when the data is collected or represented, then the dossier is published. Next is dossier submission. If in earlier period it was submitted offline, that's why it was called as common technical document, but now it will submitted by electronic form. It means it will be submitted online on the website or portal of the regulatory agency, so it will known as the AKtD. Next is planning for submission. It means when you will submit the data to the regulatory authority, how will you plan or what are the steps for planning the data. Number one is checklist. In checklist, this list include name of each document with information such as responsible person, party, target date and status. It means, what is checklist? When you are planning for submission of AKtD to the regulatory authority or the FDA, first of all you make a checklist, and in checklist you must include name of each document. It means the preclinical document plus clinical document. Here preclinical documents is the testing done in labs or the testing done on animals, and clinical studies and data of clinical studies, the clinical trials done on human. So name of each documents or various documents attached with them, name of each documents with information like such as responsible person. Responsible person means who have initiated or who have conducted the testings, like who have conducted the preclinical testing and under which authority clinical trials have done. It is in whether the clinical trials done by third party or by the same manufacturing company, because every manufacturing unit has not the authority to do clinical trials, so they too help of third parties which conducts clinical trials and give the data to the owner or sponsor. And responsible person or party, as I told you, party means the third party who conducts the clinical trials, because preclinical trials are mostly done in companies like dissolution studies. In vitro studies are done in companies, in labs. Maybe animal testing are done by parties, but clinical trials are mostly done by third parties. Next, target date. What was the target date of documents of testing, and what is the status? Here status implies that if what are the results of preclinical testing and clinical testing. Status means if it is approved or if there is some fault in the preclinical testing. What are the results? What are the conferences from preclinical testing, and what are the results of clinical testing? Their status should be clearly mentioned here. It, for example, if there is a antidepressant drug and we have given the antidepressant drug on to the animals for conducting preclinical testing. So, what will be the result of this preclinical testing? It means what is the pharmacological action of that drug on animals. If the animal shows the targeted response, it means if the target response is that uh, the antidepressant drug, the target shows, it will show action in 20 minutes. The target of sponsor is 20 minutes. So, if the animal is showing the target response in 20 minutes or more, or he is taking what time? Same in humans, at what time he is showing response. So, these data should be included very precisely and very clearly in the document. It means there should be not any false information. Next, such list will be useful not only to check if there is any missing component, but also to manage the whole process of submission preparation efficiently. Obviously, it is saying that if we prepare anything precisely from the starting, then there will be less chances of any missing things of any fault in the next process. So, we should conduct any planning very precisely from the starting. This line, this part should be done very precisely so that we can do next part. After doing this part, so there will it will be useful to check if there is any missing component, and it will obviously manage the whole process of submission and very efficiently. Next is glossary. As you know, what is glossary? It is important to keep consistency of terminology used throughout a submission dossier. So, submission dossier, our submission data, there must be some terminology in every field. In every field there are some terminology. It means like in pharmacy we use some terminology like prescription, RX, AD, BD, and dose, drug, syrups, lotions. These various terminologies should be keep consistent throughout a submission dossier. Applicants are recommended to create a list of general glossary Applicants are recommended to create a list of journal glossary before initiating preparation of study reports and summaries. It means for the understand of the regulatory authorities, there must be a glossary section in which he used several terminology. For example, pulmonary. Pulmonary relates to lungs, but common people don't know what is pulmonary. Common people or uneducated people don't know what is pulmonary associated with We know pulmonary is associated with lungs, so this terminology should be included in the documents. Next is example is hepato. Common people don't know what hepato means. It means liver. So there must be a list of general glossary so that the regulatory authority can understand the meanings. Next is template. So template is a standard file format document containing predefined layout, styles, text and graphics. It is a part of graphics or computer design. The templates are like already formed predefined layout or styles or text. Templates help authors to prepare each component document in a structured, consistent manner, complying with the required formats and contents like ICH, M4 and M3. ICH here is International Council of Harmonization of Pharmaceutical Requirements for Pharmaceutics for Human Use. So here is a already made template of ICH, M4 and E3. It will also enhance efficiency of preparation. The best example of this is in your PPT. When you made PPT, there are some already made templates which looks beautiful. Next is submission with the unified format of study reports and summaries also enables reviewers to perform review smoothly. Next is timetable timeline table. Development and management of timeline is one of the most important tasks in submission planning phase, especially when the submission is performed by collaborations among multiple parties of applicants. It means multiple parties means there are two or more parties are involved in submission of the document, so there must be a timeline. It means all the documents should be prepared within a defined time. Next is it is recommended for applicants to generate and keep updating timeline table or a Gantt chart including the role and responsibility of each person party to manage the whole process of submission. It means when multiple parties are involved, then the applicant should divide the responsibilities of each person and parties. Next, in May 5, 2017, NDA, ANDAs and biologics license applications must be submitted using ECTD. It means in May 5, 2017, a new rule came in which NDA, ANDAs biological license applications must be submitted using ECTD format, Electronic Common Technical Document. And in May 5, 2018, commercial investigational new drug applications and master files must be submitted using ECTD. And in addition to this, master file and commercial investigation new drug application must be included in using ECTD. Next is electronic submission gateway. FDA is ESG is an agency of FDA for solution for accepting electronic regulatory submissions. The FDA ESG is easily available. It is a part of FDA and it is easily available, highly scalable, high performance, secure exchange point for FDA and its partners to transact a variety of documents and submissions over industry standard protocol. ESG is an agency of the FDA and it helps, like it is easily available, highly scalable, high performance. The FDA ESG enables the secure submission of pre-market and post-market regulatory information to review. The FDA ESG enables the FDA to process regulatory information automatically, functioning as a single point of entry for receiving and processing all electronic submissions in a highly secure environment. The FDA ESG complies with secure HTTP messaging standards and uses digital certificates for secure communication. The electronic submission process encompasses the receipt, acknowledgement of receipt to sender, routing and notification of the delivery of an electronic submission. FDA ESG provides two methods. One is web trader and next is system to system. It is a web interface and it is a web interface and it is a system to system. It is a software. Next is validation. FDA may perform additional validation checks for both. After submitting ECTD and non-ECTD, FDA perform validation to ensure the submissions are processed and routed accurately. Additional validation checks include ensuring the application form submitted matches the application type, example regional XML file, the US regional XML specified application type, ensuring the consistency of the application member specified in the US regional XML file and application form. What is NIS? NIS is non-ECTD electronic submission. Full form is non-electronic common technical document electronic submission. Use the ENDA format known as hybrid submission and use the ECTD format. Using the NIS format, once the NIS format is chosen, it is expected the further applications and responses related to particular medicinal product are submitted in the same electronic format. The ECTD folder structure is used in the ICH granulatory document, and submission dossier must follow the recommended TGA TGA folder name for module 1. And file formats. What are the formats of files? Number 1 is version, second is fonts, page size, margins. Page size on margin should be 8.5 into 11 inches and with a margin of 1 inch on all sides. Quality of documents, PDF document should produce the exact and best application of paper document. Thank you.